Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you in my basement in the great state of Kansas. Today's video, I'm continuing my series on talking about my 100 favorite albums of all time. And today I'm going to do number 32 on my list, which is the famous American Pie album from Don McLean that came out in 1971. So a little over 50 years old now. And yeah, talk about this great album with you here on Jason the Old Millennial. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well here on a pretty late Thursday night. I mean, it's almost 11 o'clock here at the time. So I usually don't do videos this late. Of course, by the time I put this out, it's going to be even later. Maybe it'll be in the morning past midnight, but hopefully I get this before midnight. Counts as my Thursday video. But yeah, so I hope everybody's doing well here. Doing my top 100 favorite albums. I'm at number 32 on my list, which is one of the great folk albums and one of the great folk songs or so. I don't know if you call it folk, whatever, of all time, and that is American Pie. Everybody knows that song, of course, and it comes from a really great album with the same name at the title here. Don McLean, definitely his most well-known album that he did, and by far the biggest seller that he did, and by far my favorite album that he's done. This is actually the second studio album that he did, so pretty early on in his career. And of course, it was a #1 album. It did really, really well. Of course, mostly because it had one of the biggest songs of the time, which I think it came out late 1971, I think, if I remember right. And so American Pie didn't become a big single until 1972, I think. Anyways, American Pie, of course, huge song, really defined Don McLean. Without American Pie, that song, McLean, I don't know if he'd be as well known. He doesn't have a lot more hits outside of this album that I know. He has one, I think, Castle in the Sky, I think. That's a really good song. I don't know, comes off of another album, I'm sure. I've listened to some of his records. None of them are nearly as good as this one. I probably need to go back and try to listen to some more of his because this is absolutely amazing, I would say, folk album. I don't feel like Don McLean's quite up there with some of the greats, like obviously Bob Dylan, but Jim Croce, James Taylor, or some of the greats that he's not quite up to that level. But man, this album definitely up there is one of the best. Like I said, American Pie went #1 in the U.S. It went #2 in the UK, which I thought was interesting. How I didn't get #1. I don't know if the UK, the people are like, man, I like the song, but it has the word American in it, so we're not going to give the Americans a #1 song. No, I'm just kidding. That's probably not why, but obviously did very well in both countries. The other big song on here is Vincent, which I don't feel like as well as known. I don't remember hearing it on the radio as much. I remember American Pie was on the radio all the time when I listened to oldies stations back when I was a kid. Vincent, I don't really remember this one. I don't even remember how I came across it. I remember coming across it much later, probably in my 20s or something like that. I came across Vincent and was like, where has this song been my whole life? This is an absolutely amazing song by the same guy who did American Pie. It went #1 in the UK and number 12 in the US. So American Pie #1 in the US, Vincent #1 in the UK. So both songs did very well overall. And yeah, two of the best songs, two of my favorite songs of all time. I mean, these are two heavy hitters, in my opinion. So that really helps the album, especially when you have two of the best songs like ever made, ever written, ever played on guitar. But yeah, I love the style. It's mostly Don McLean and an acoustic guitar, which I love a lot of folk albums with just the singer and the acoustic guitar. He does have some orchestra music also throughout, and also some songs have piano on it. So I don't know if it doesn't feel like what I like about the album. It's only 10 songs, like 36 minutes long, so it's not a real long album, not a big one, but I would say at least 8 out of 10 songs really, really good. I'd say the last two I'm not as crazy about. I think Grave and Babylon are the last two. I'm not as crazy about, but still, I mean, the 8 songs before, absolutely fantastic. And I love that it's almost like a minimal type song, music, where it's not a lot of production, I feel like. Maybe I'm wrong, but I felt like it was limited production. And it was just like, it's just McLean, his voice with a guitar or a piano, and they sound so great together. He has a really nice sounding voice. Not like the best vocalist I've ever heard, but still, man, sounds so great with his songs and just fits so well with his kind of almost, I'd say, laid back style for the most part of his songs are most of them are more ballad like. Only one song was really, I mean, American Pie does go upbeat, which makes American Pie so great. How it kind of starts soft, kind of picks up, then goes back to soft at the end. Vincent, of course, just a total acoustic guitar with some orchestra at the end. But that's mostly like what the songs are like. I said there's one upbeat song. Everybody says, or something about everybody loves me or something like that. So why don't you or something like that is the song. I didn't write it down, but really more upbeat song, but really fun song on here. But all these songs are great. I think the song called Tomorrow, if I remember right, Empty Chairs, Windward, I think was one. Absolutely amazing all throughout. So, I mean, if you like folk music, this is a must album to listen to. It's one I don't have right now. It's one I definitely want to get at some point. I just don't want to put out the money at the moment. I'm trying to save my money up a little more for a little bit and try to keep under budget, but which is hard when you buy records and try to collect records and Blu-rays and all that. But I know my friend Adam from What the Gym, he saw Don McLean in concert this last year, and saw I think McLean played through like the album maybe of American Pie or something like that, which is amazing. Don McLean, I'm sure, is like getting close to 80 or something, and he's still out there playing his songs and doing very well and touring and all that. But be cool to see him, especially if maybe if he was a little bit younger, it'd been really cool to see him. But still, I'm sure it's Adam would say it was a really good concert and all that. But yeah, not much more to say than that. We go to my top 3 favorite songs. Like I said, one song I didn't write down that I really liked, didn't make it into my top 3, is that Everybody Loves Me, I think it's called, or something like that. And it's kind of this more upbeat acoustic guitar song that almost sounds like a live. It wasn't live as the studios, but they kind of made it sound like you've seen him live, I think, from what I remember. And it's a really kind of fun song where he's saying, everybody loves me, so why don't you, is kind of the chorus. And I always thought that kind of was a funny chorus line to say that to somebody. It's a bit egotistical, I guess, to say, it's like, man, I get along with everybody. And it's like, but I don't get along with you, so it must be something wrong with you, because it can't be wrong with me because everybody else likes me. So obviously I'm the common denominator in this situation. But at the same time, I think I feel that way sometimes. I felt that way in the past about relationships. Sometimes I'd be like my girlfriend doesn't seem to like me that much, but I get along with everybody. So what's wrong with her? So I kind of get that idea behind it. It's a little egotistical, but it's a fun song. But number 3, I went with Empty Chairs on here. And there's a lot of songs I could have gone with. A lot of them are really good. Empty Chairs is one I like the most because lyrically, Empty Chairs is about basically, his girlfriend or whatever, leaving him and him coming home and there's an empty chair, symbolizing that she left, and him saying like he didn't think she would leave until he came home and she was gone, some of the lyrics kind of in there. So I really like the lyrics of the song, and great acoustic guitar song, of course, like a lot of the songs on here. But yeah, I really like that image of, not realizing that your relationship's going bad until one day they're gone. And that's happened to me many times where I was like, I thought everything was going well. And then the next thing I know, you're gone. You don't want to be with me anymore. And it's almost this, you have this, how do I explain, why she left? What did I do wrong? And it's kind of that kind of song, like what was it I did wrong? Must have been something, but I don't know. All I know now is she's gone, and all this. Anyway, so it's kind of a sad song, but I really enjoy it. Number 2, I'm going with the very famous, might be surprising, but I don't know. I'm going with American Pie for number 2. I mean, any other album, this would be number 1. I mean, it's one of the greatest songs of all time. Like I said, I love it starts with the piano and everything, and then it picks up with the acoustic guitar. And then it's a song that goes into tons of verses. It's a fairly long song, lots of verses. All the verses I've heard people say have deep meanings in them. And I've heard people explain like, oh, this means Elvis, or this means Mick Jagger. I don't know, something, whatever, it's almost allegorical or something. I don't know I guess it is. Of course, he talks about the day music died, which we know is talking about 1959 when Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and the Big Bopper all died in a plane wreck outside of in Iowa. I think Clear Lake or something like that, Clear Lake, Iowa. I've been there and seen where the plane crashed. Really cool sight. And so yeah, this is a song about the day that they died, and he says, the day the music died. So it's kind of has a sadness to the song, kind of almost a memorial to the greatness of those three artists. I think especially Buddy Holly, who died so young in his prime. So yeah, it's really cool, that whole meaning behind it. But yeah, lyrically, I don't know, it's really interesting. Even though when I listen to it, I'm like, I'm not sure what anything has to do with it, but man, it's so fun to sing to. It's one of the funnest songs to sing along to. Right from the beginning, it was a long, long time ago. I can still remember the day. But anyways, as soon as that starts, you're like, oh man, this is so good. And anyways, so yeah, love the sound of it, love the lyric, just listening to the lyrics and just kind of pondering what he's saying in there. And just how the song kind of changes throughout. And gets a little bit louder, a little bit faster at points, and then gets back down to being soft, and he ends it with just him and the guitar basically, slows it down a little bit. Yeah, just an absolute masterpiece song, and one of the greatest choruses of all time. Bye bye, Miss American Pie, threw my Chevy to the levee, but the levee is dry. Good old boys drinking whiskey and rye, singing "This will be the day that I die." Oh, so good. And I remember when I was a kid and I was just starting to get into 70s and 60s kind of music. I was turned on by the Beatles and was a big Beatles fan since I was 10 years old. And so after that, I was just listening to oldie stations. So I was just really picking up on new songs, old songs, but new to me on the radio. And so I was listening to the 60s, and then I'd be listening to 70s as well. And so I would always come across a song that's amazing, and I had no idea that it was like a big song yet, because I was still too young I hadn't, learned enough about the history of music. And of course, my dad, who's lived through that time, he knows the music, so I can always go to him and be like, Dad, I heard the song on the radio, and it was so great. And I remember because I was in the car, or I was at home, I must have been at home, listening to the radio or something like that, and the song came across, and just the lyrics. This is the day that I'll die. It just really struck me as a kid, being like, like that is a weird thing to say. People drinking whiskey and rye singing, "This will be the day that I die." Like, I didn't understand what that meant. I think I still do, but the idea that someone would say that, like, are they suicidal? What's going on in the song? I don't know if it makes any sense, but some reason those lyrics really struck me when I was young, and I was like. And of course, I love the chorus. It was so fun to sing to. Bye bye, Miss American Pie, whatever. And I remember just being like, man, this for hearing it the first time, just like I had no idea it was a famous song or anything. I was like it's almost like I heard this new song for the first time. And I was like, Dad, I heard this new song. It's from 1971, but it's like this new song called, I think it's something to do with American Pie. Bye bye, American Pie. That was the chorus. And of course, my dad's like, yeah, that's a really great song. It's really famous and popular and did really well. And I'm like, oh, okay, like I totally get it. And then of course, over time, more times I listen to it, the more I absolutely love the song, American Pie. So anyways, I know everybody else probably, yeah. I haven't met too many people that don't like the song. I'm sure they're out there, but it's one of those songs that everybody usually loves. But yeah, that number two. And number one is Vincent, of course, the other big hit. And it's hard. It can go either way. American Pie and Vincent, both absolutely amazing songs. Almost like both could be tied for number one for me. I put Vincent slightly ahead because I absolutely love the acoustic guitar on this, the way he's picking at it. And his voice, his vocals are just absolutely amazing, I think, on here. And lyrically, very, very interesting lyrically, talking about Vincent van Gogh and talking about his painting Starry Night, which... for information, like I'm not a big painting enthusiast or art enthusiast, but I do really love Vincent van Gogh's paintings. I would say that was my favorite artist, and Starry Night is my favorite painting. I love looking at Starry Night. Absolutely amazing. The Impressionist style I really like. Anyways, and so it starts out Starry, Starry Night, talking about his painting. Anyways, and then the lyrics, I don't know, just flows together so well. And even kind of talk about Vincent taking his own life. In real life, he took his own life. And I don't think he was appreciated for his art until after he died. So there's this kind of interesting, sadness to the whole song. Him saying, Vincent, this world was never, good enough for you or whatever. You're too smart for this world, or you're like this genius and people just couldn't understand you. And it's, sad that you took your life. It kind of seems to be the kind of the meaning of the lyric. So it's kind of an interesting memorial or homage to Vincent van Gogh, the painter, anyways. But absolutely beautiful song. I love it so much. One of my favorite songs of all time. And then at the very end, the orchestra comes in. I always love orchestra music when it comes into music. So I do love at the end when the orchestra comes in as he's singing again. And it's one of the songs, like, I don't know how long it is, but, when it's getting to the end, I feel like, man, I can listen to like 2 more minutes of this and I would not be unhappy. Like, I can listen to him keep singing this chorus about Vincent anyway. So yeah, so Vincent, number 1, slightly above American Pie. Both are absolutely amazing songs on here. But yeah, definitely, if you haven't checked this album out, definitely check out American Pie. One of the great folk albums all the time. It's number 32 on my list of 100 favorite albums. So please comment if you have this album. What do you think about it? Where is it on your list, or pretty high on your list as well? Tell me what your favorite song is, all that. Love to read the comments. And just thank you to everybody watching this video. Thank you for liking it. And thank you to all the subscribers for supporting the channel. I really appreciate you all. I hope you have a good day.